In the last episode of Reality Trip, the five were in Sri Lanka working as tea pluckers.
No, I haven't. It just moved.
It's basic sense.
They performed badly, which didn't go well with management.
The 17 kilos more to pluck. Better hurry up.
Would you fire us?
Definitely. I will not keep unproductive pluckers like you all because it will harm for me.
After being dressed down in the tea fields, the conflict between Kieran and Peter erupted into a full-blown argument.
I lost it at peak because I was really tired and I wasn't getting any sleep in the room with him because of his snoring.
I called him an idiot for not being able to deal with it properly.
Reality Trip follows five 20-somethings on a journey of discovery. They're not widely traveled, so they have limited experience of how the rest of the world lives. Competitive Kieran, fashionista Anna, computer-obsessed Peter, people-focused Stevie, and image-conscious Stephanie. For 5 weeks, they will travel through Asia, walking in the shoes of the locals, living as they do. How will these real-life experiences affect our five young travelers?
I'm going insane. I can't breathe.
They're now in Bangladesh. It's one of the most heavily populated countries in the world, with 160 million people living in a delta of rivers flowing from the Himalayas out into the Bay of Bengal. Their time here is going to be spent immersed in the textile industry. Bangladesh is second only to China in supplying cheap clothing to the rest of the world. The day they arrive, the capital city Dhaka is erupting in violent protests.
2 garment workers have been killed and at least 50 others were injured in a clash with police in Ghazipur. At one stage, the workers tried to block the Dhaka-Tangale highway. Then the law enforcers intervened and charged batons, lobbed tear gas canisters and fired rubber bullets to disperse the mob.
This is very worrying, as they're traveling along the road where this protest took place just hours earlier. For their protection, they've been given a police escort.
Having police escorts, you know straight away, oh gosh, you know, there's the potential for something to go horribly wrong.
As they pass through Ghazipur, where many garment factories are located, they see more workers up in arms.
It was both scary and really, really interesting.
Fortunately, they're heading out of the city, away from the demonstrations, to a cotton-growing region called Tangarl.
As you escape to the countryside, it's a whole completely different world. It's very peaceful and calm and tranquil.
The majority of Bangladeshis live off the land. Poverty is widespread, with over half the population living on less than $1 a day. Our five are going to be working as agricultural laborers on a cotton plantation. Like their co-workers, they have to walk to work. On their way, they pass through a jute market.
Look at that mountain of this stuff, Stevie.
Yeah.
How does it get down?
It's the golden fibre of Bangladesh.
Is it?
Yeah.
Bangladesh is one of the world's leading jute producers. The fiber is used to make paper, cardboard, string, and a wide range of home textiles, including floor coverings.
There's men lifting these huge bags on their heads, and there's people biking around with huge piles on the back of their bikes. There's people chucking piles of jute up to other people, and there was just a whole lot of work going on.
Once through the market, they make their way to Betulia village to meet cotton farmer Razak.
Thank you very much.
He said, welcome to Bangladesh.
Razak is not only the head of the village, but also a landowner growing jute, rice, and cotton. Today, he'll be employing the five as cotton pickers.
How much would this cotton be worth that's in front of us now?
US dollar, $20.
How many people work on his fields?
কয়জন লোক কাজ করে? কয়জন কাজ করবে আজকে?
11 জন।
Total 11%.
Is it hard to pick it?
এটা কি তুলতে কঠিন?
না না।
It's very easy.
Cool.
বলেন
That's
দেখিয়ে
good to
দিবেন।
hear.
Okay, let's do this.
So as not to offend his other workers, Razak asks the team to dress as the locals do. For the girls, that means changing into saris.
Well, I don't know if I can work like this. It's very tight for my arms. Oh. My arms were just too big for the undergarments that they wear, to the point where my circulation was getting cut off. I felt like I couldn't really move my legs or my arms. And it didn't take long before I just thought, get me out of here. Oh, Steph fits it perfectly. Gotta breathe in a bit.
Meanwhile, outside, the boys are attracting a large crowd as they put on lungis.
Being checked out by all the locals here.
They taught us how to wear the lungi, which is the dress thing, and how to tie it up into almost like a nappy. So it was cool. I liked it.
You look like Homer Simpson in the episode where he puts on lots of weight. No offense to your weight, but like he wears boomers.
Kieran saying no offense doesn't stop it being a stinging remark and it hurting Peter. Kieran's been making these kinds of comments since day one of the trip.
Let's go.
Razak now takes the 5 to meet his workers, who are waiting with their goats. They take them to the cotton field every day.
Razak said 15 minutes to the field, and I was thinking, oh gosh. But once we started walking, it was beautiful. And then we get to the cotton fields, and it's how I pictured. Bushes with what looked like fluff on them. And that's exactly how it was.
This is the first year Razak has grown cotton. He's taking part in a government scheme to expand cotton production. Currently, Bangladesh imports 95% of the raw cotton needed by its garment industry.
Oh, freaking out about these spiders.
There's so many spiders.
This is a lot easier than tea plucking.
It's not easy because it's hot. We've got saris on. You've got to watch out for fire ants.
It wasn't so much hard work picking the cotton as it was tedious work.
It's an unpleasant wake-up call for fashionista Anna, who can't imagine living the life of a cotton picker.
You grow up and everyone has dreams and everyone has goals and everyone wants to do something with their life, and to have to do that, it must be hard for them to give up all those hopes and dreams and sort of be resigned to the fact that they have to pick cotton for the rest of their life just to make it through.
There was a moment where I kind of stood there and just thought, ugh, I don't want to do this anymore. But then I just thought, nah, how disrespectful to these people. They're going to keep going, I'm going to keep going.
What is your name?
Apna naam ki?
Yasmin.
Her name is Yasmin.
Around half of Bangladesh's agricultural workers are women. Yasmin's husband is also a farm laborer. Together, they support 5 daughters, one of whom had polio as a child and is now disabled.
How long has she been working in the fields for?
আপনি কয় বছর পর্যন্ত এই মাঠে কাজ করেন? এরকম around 10 years.
Cotton picking is one of several seasonal jobs laborers like Yasmin must do to get through the year.
He started at 6 and finished at the 5 p.m.
Oh.
Yeah, and for the whole day he got less than $4.
It's not a lot of money.
While Stevie and Yasmin go on to talk about her disabled daughter, Stephanie, who is clearly bored with cotton picking, takes a selfie on her iPhone.
She can make the most bizarre things all about herself. It annoys the hell out of me.
When she's confronted, she quickly denies it.
No, I did not take a selfie in the cotton field when that lady was talking about polio. That was not even a selfie because it was actually a photo with me and the workers around me.
Whatever the excuse, the others aren't impressed.
Do you not see what's around you? Do you not understand what's going on?
She's so superficial.
I don't think I'm superficial. I think I'm just ridiculously loud and out there.
There's nothing wrong with being superficial, but when you get someone like me who's quite down to earth and then someone like Steph who's all materialistic, then we're not gonna have a good friendship.
Unlike Stephanie's spoiled childhood, Stevie had a very different upbringing. With 6 kids and a single mom, there sometimes wasn't even enough money to get to school.
There was one teacher, he was the bus driver. He used to pick us up on the bus for free because he knew times were tough for Mum.
Through sheer grit, she educated herself.
The reason I chose social work was to help people, and that's to help those that find it difficult to help themselves.
Anna and Stephanie have made friends with 2 goats. And Peter's been given the job of carrying a full sack of cotton back to the village. It's 100 pounds of hard work.
Dad always joked about putting a brick on my head when I was growing up to like keep me shorter.
Everything is hurting.
The girls think they've avoided the heavy work, but no.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. I can't understand how such light little delicate, soft fluffy little things can sort of add up to such a huge heavy sack.
I'm probably showing a whole lot of food right now, but even they can't carry it.
Stephanie, who's the most work-shy of the 5, is true to form. She can't do it at all.
Oh, it's not too bad. There we go. Okay, yep, we're good.
Oh. Coming up, it's a showdown. Who will win the race to get the cotton to market on time?
I can't!
The 5 have picked over 400 pounds of cotton, and it's going to be sold this afternoon. It falls on Peter and Kieran to transport the bags to market. They've only got half an hour, so it's a race against time, and of course, each other.
Riding the bikes was really hard. I had 4 people on the back at one point.
These aren't made to go this fast. If you hadn't noticed, people just pedal around. They don't race around. So I was actually quite wary because I thought it would take us to be on these bikes and for the wheel to come off.
Sure enough, just as Kieran's catching up, his chain breaks. Peter has the advantage, but not for long.
Oh my gosh.
Riding a bike with a heavy load behind is risky on these roads.
The driving's crazy. The drivers, they don't seem to have any fear. They pass on blind corners, they're like this far from the car in front, and they seem to love to use their brakes a lot, and when they swerve, it's very sudden.
Peter, move back! I can't!
Kieran wins, and they've made it on time.
We get to this market and it's almost like riding through a parade. There's just people everywhere, both sides. Almost felt like doing the royal wave, just hello, hello.
It was quite nice just to sit there and feel like a princess for a minute on piles of cotton with all the children running after us.
As they unload, they're faced with a mob of people.
Can we get past?
Down there, bro. Right down here.
Down here. Landing in the market was like insane. It's a war zone, I tell ya.
The moment we got to the market, I'll never forget that moment for the rest of my days. I felt famous.
The market was so intense. You won't get that in Auckland, no way. The whole city was just there.
Once they're ready to sell, the local cotton buyers make themselves known to Razak. It's clear who's the boss.
The guy who tried to buy our cotton, you know, sort of wandered into the market with a sort of an air about him, like, hello, I'm Mr. Fabulous.
The bartering starts at 75 taka per kilo. That's a little under $1.
75 taka per kilo. Is that good?
No.
80 taka. 80 taka.
80 টাকা হইতেছে 80 টাকা আপনি আপনি কিন
80 টাকা
80.
80
All right?
75
Happy with that?
Sorry, you're a woman.
80 টাকা আপনি বলেন না 70 টাকার বেশি কিনবো না
There were just swarms of men behind me in such the tiniest space. You could literally feel people breathing on you. There were that many people surrounding us.
he said that he don't buy more than 70 so you can find another buyer.
Another
Another buyer steps forward.
How much? 75. কত দিবেন আপনি?
75.
কত দিবেন আপনি?
75 টাকা।
আপনি দিবেন কত করে?
70.
He will also say
Touch it.
No.
Touch it. Look at
No, we might as well go with the first guy if he's paying the same price.
Good. 75.
But then Mr. Fabulous gets his cash out and agrees to pay 80 taka to seal the deal.
80 টাকা.
I'll take that.
বিদেশি টাকা, বিদেশি টাকা.
No, not her.
That gets the cash flowing and the second buyer coughs up too.
75?
75 নেবেন? Oh, he will buy 75.
It's a deal.
Okay, there we go. Yep. Keep it coming. Yep.
Trust the woman to be a little.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming. I don't know how much this is. There you go. That's enough.
And this one too.
And this one. That's good.
Good deal.
Yeah. Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice doing business with you guys.
Now take them. Oh God. Felt the definition of in your face.
With the deal done, Razak leads them to his favorite tea shop in the heart of the market.
When they serve the biscuit.
Cha, as the locals call it, is Bangladesh's favorite drink, and the tea stalls are where people go to meet.
Yes, I can't wait for this. Thank you. Dhanyabad.
Razak's second in command joins them and makes sure everyone has a cha.
The tea was amazing. It's really different to New Zealand tea, but it's quite sweet. I think the milk that they get from the cow is sort of heated and it condenses a little, so it becomes really sweet and creamy.
Today, were you happy with what we did today?
আপনি তো খুশি হয়েছেন এই যে আজকের মার্কেট করেছেন তাতে? Very much happy.
Very pleased.
Yeah. It was fun. It was so much fun.
Who was the best worker?
We got a good deal.
এর ভিতরে সবচেয়ে ভালো কাজ করেছে কে? ভালো কাজ করেছে।
Yeah, this is my man.
You best worker.
Yeah.
Then second.
Say music to my ears.
Second.
Second.
E.g., you guys suck.
Who picked the most cotton?
মাঠে কাজ করতে আপনার ভালো লাগছে?
Mani, do you like to work in his field?
Work in his field. Full time. For good.
ভালো লাগছে.
It was very cool with all the people and the market. It's very full on. We're not used to, all the people.
Razak wants the girls to try pan, a stimulant made with betel leaf, nuts, and cured tobacco.
It's cold, actually. Then eat.
You put it into your mouth and I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be this yum, sort of chewy, sweet, tangy, delicious thing. It is awful. It tastes kind of minty and then it gets really hot. I was having gag reflexes.
It's definitely an experience, I can tell you that.
Not only is betel a stimulant, it's also psychoactive and addictive.
Very rare you saw that.
I didn't realise I was sitting right next to a spit bowl in which they all spit into, so that was a bit gross, but if I didn't look at it, it was all right.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Next, tensions within the group.
All I feel like saying is, wake up.
The five have spent the day picking cotton, which they've sold at the local market.
Now, take them!
It's nighttime, and at Betulia village, Razak and his wife have prepared a meal for everybody.
Razak, he was a very kind man, and he looked after us very, very well while we stayed with him in his village. He kept his eye on us, and that showed that he really, truly cared about us.
Thank you very much. Generous guy that I have going.
It's been a long day, and within the group, tensions are smoldering.
I'm feeling really tired. I'm so tired, I'm exhausted. And I think all of us are just having shorter fuses by the end of each day.
She's really noticed this with Kieran.
You can tell he's getting so affected. And when he gets affected, he ends up being quite stroppy with us, actually.
But the person who's finding it hardest is Stevie, who's clearly had enough of Stephanie.
I just have to sort of ignore the attitude she brings with her some days because it annoys the hell out of me. Would she be a person I'd hang out with back home? Nah, not at all.
During supper, Stevie helps Mashida, Yasmin's disabled 15-year-old daughter. Afterwards, she grabs the chance to find out more about polio.
Meeting someone with polio is very new for me because in our country we don't get polio. As babies, we get free immunisations to stop the disease from happening. So I've never seen it before in my life up until now. She seems very shaky and not very physical.
Yasmin explains Moshida got polio when she was 2 years old. Since then, she's been unable to use the left side of her body. She thinks the disease came from the water in the jute fields where she was working when Moshida was a baby.
So does she need medicine?
Now they don't go to the doctor, but before they went to the doctor, but they cannot afford the medicine.
That must be very difficult for you. And does she go to school?
She cannot write, but she read only.
And does she not talk?
Okay, কথা বলতে পারে? তুমি জিজ্ঞেস করো তো ওনাকে ভালো আছেন? ভালো আছেন. He said, how are you?
Oh, very good, thank you. Very good. I don't know if she'll understand this. What would it be? If she could do anything she wanted to do, what would it be?
আমি কাজ কাম সব করতে চাই, পাচ্ছি না তো.
He want to do everything. He want to do work, but can't.
Yes. Thank you very much for talking to me. Thank you. Thank you. It was really, really sad. It was probably the hardest chat I've had with someone this whole trip.
The five are sleeping in Razak's house, in a room he keeps for visiting relatives.
Ed.
Yeah, I'm ready. Oh my gosh.
Sorry's coming off.
Sorry's coming off. I'm so stoked. Where should we hang this? How do you hang 6 meters of fabric?
Oh, here, we'll just put them over here. There we go, done.
After today, I so need bed.
I must remind everyone I'm top worker, so don't think you're going to forget about that anytime soon. Putting up with Stephanie probably was the hardest part of the day. Everything else was a breeze compared to that.
It's so mind-numbing, the work. I found myself wishing for my iPod at one point.
Today was actually really fun in terms of being with all the locals and just doing what they do for a day.
Stevie's chat with Mashida has left her in a thoughtful frame of mind, and it's not helped by Anna and Stephanie getting into their usual nighttime banter.
And the baby goats.
Oh my gosh, yes, they're so cute. I just want to adopt them all and take them back. Don't know what Kieran was on about though. I managed to get 8 packs of cotton balls and he didn't. So, I just suck at lifting, that's all.
No comment.
The boys are oblivious to what's happening, but Anna picks up on Stevie's mood. She knows Stephanie's superficial comments have been winding Stevie up.
Been a big day for Stevie.
Oh. Can I just have some time? I just feel so frustrated and sad and angry, just all in one. And I've held on to this frustration for a while now, and just kept it cool because I don't want there to be conflict within our group, because these are the people I have to sleep with, eat with, conversate with and sit with every day. But when when I hear them say things like, oh, today was so cool, getting to do what the locals do. Oh, the goats were so cute. And then Kieran's so worried about being the best worker. And Anna, she feels sorry for these people, and I know she wants to change, but even she's closing herself off. Stephanie, she don't give a shit. And Peter, well, Peter's Peter. And it's just frustrating because all I feel like saying is, wake up. Do you not actually see what's going on here? Do you not see the struggle these people are going through? I feel like I'm the only one out of the group who is truly seeing what's going on. Oh, I am. I'm going to be honest. I'm losing it. Oh, I just wish I could have a hug from my mum or something like that. And I think the last interview I did just really hit me. Really, really hit me. Because, oh, these people have nothing.
As day breaks, the group are still reeling from Stevie's outburst the night before.
I went back into the room and of course everybody else was like, oh, what's the matter, what's going on? And I just said, I was kind of mad at the comments you guys made. And they all looked at me a bit stunned, and I said, oh, just how you guys said it was fun and it was cool. This isn't fun. These people's jobs aren't cool.
I can completely understand where she was coming from. We can skip in and out, but this is their only option, and we need to respect that and think of that a bit more.
Peter said, you give good TV because you cry and you get all emotion and you connect. And I said, but Peter, that's just exactly it. Can't it be just for the fact that I connect with these people?
Stevie just looks at stuff totally differently to what a lot of us do. She takes stuff very seriously, and that's fair enough. I just feel like maybe she gets too involved and lets it get to her.
But the person who can't take it is Stephanie, who's let her guard down for the first time.
When I wake up and I just realise I'm still here and I'm still experiencing their hardship, and it's really tough.
Stevie's outburst has forced the group to think about why they're here and who they want to hang out with.
I get on really well with Anna, but I get on with Stevie more than I do with Anna, so I think we're at the point in this trip where we'd rather just hang out with the people that we get on with, and for me and Stevie, that's each other.
With Kieran, Stevie and Anna forming a close bond, Stephanie and Peter are equally unpopular within the group.
Peter has just kept himself in a bubble. Me and Steph are just two different peas from two different pods.
Coming up, the five are in danger.
We had to stop, and there were riot police going past.
It's morning in Betulia village, and there's been an injury.
As usual, I rushed doing everything, and I was trying to take down the mosquito nets, and it was pretty dark in the room, which probably was a bad idea in the first place. And I didn't realise that I kind of had the knife on the wrong angle, and so by the time I went to just quickly swipe the rope to cut the mosquito net off, my finger was right there. I didn't think it was this bad though. Like I just thought, oh, just a bit of a nick, but nah, it's a bit more than that.
The cut's deep enough to need stitches, and in these tropical conditions, it's likely to get infected if it's not seen to immediately. Unlike the villagers and people like Yasmin's daughter, Stevie's in the fortunate position of being able to afford immediate medical treatment. While she's gone, the others get to mingle with the locals.
The village is a really quaint village. We've got homes made of clay and just stone, so it's very basic, but the people there are really beautiful people.
Anna is struck by the strong family bonds all around her.
These people have not a lot at all. What they hold closest to them is their family.
This cuts deep with her because her parents are divorced and she no longer speaks to her father.
I haven't spoken to my dad in a number of years now.
Perhaps her experiences on this trip have changed how she feels.
My relationship with my father will never change, so I've moved on, moved past that.
Not with Anna. It's quite cool just to see the different cultures kind of meet together. We played cricket with them at one point.
Even Razak's keen to be part of the action.
All the kids there were really fun, you know, we're playing around and being silly buggers and having a good time. It was just like a little community.
I've always sort of thought, oh my gosh, these women look so gorgeous in their saris, but having to wear one myself all day, it's sort of, I don't know if it's just because I'm not used to it, and then swimming in it was not fun.
Once Stevie returns from the doctor, the five are off. They're traveling to the factory where the raw cotton is spun into thread. But there's an unexpected holdup on the way.
We drive past these big government buildings and, you know, from top to bottom the windows are smashed.
There's a street protest. More garment workers wanting better wages.
We had to stop and there were riot police going past and hitting the vans and telling people to bugger off. You know, you don't get that back home.
These people just need change desperately. They're in such desperate poverty that, you know, something has to be done.
The Bengal spinning factory is located in the industrial zone on the outskirts of the city. The five will be doing an 8-hour shift on the machines.
Okay, me and you, let's do this.
Me and Steph got to the threading area. What we were doing is we were breaking the connection, sort of winding it, threading it back up and then sticking it through the hole.
It sounds easy, but it takes Anna an hour to crack it.
Is that working?
If the air is too dry, the cotton fibers break. So it's close to 100% humidity and 104 degrees on the factory floor.
The heat just hits you. Seriously hot, like next level sauna hot.
But it's not just the heat that makes working in the factory so difficult.
The cotton, it's just floating through the air and they're breathing it in. And then you're constantly touching your face because you're getting cotton all over your face.
This factory has good ventilation, but poor conditions in other spinning factories can lead to workers getting serious respiratory illnesses.
The noise level in there, I had to wear earplugs because I work with my ears every day and it was so loud in there. None of them had earplugs or anything like that.
This factory produces 19 tons of cotton yarn per day.
The women, they don't look very happy, to be honest. There's no chatting and gossiping in their workplace because it's so loud. It's go, 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 because for as long as the cotton's spinning, there's something to be done.
Do you feel like you're just a stupid part of a big machine and like you're not really valued and your work isn't valued?
Most workers in cotton spinning factories are women with little or no education. They get paid more than if they picked cotton in the fields, but it's a meager basic wage.
We spoke to one of the locals who said she only gets paid 3,000 taka a month, and that's 6 days a week.
That's the equivalent of $1.25 a day.
I definitely understand the people outside protesting over this kind of work and wanting more money because it's so tough and it's, you know, the working conditions, it's so hot, it's so stressful, and they definitely deserve more than 46 New Zealand dollars a month.
After 4 hours, the boys get a lunch break outside and a chance to reflect on what they've seen.
To make the t-shirt like I'm wearing now, someone had to work in there for however long just to make part of the t-shirt. So to think that at every stage there's someone else just kind of suffering those conditions to make the clothes that I'm wearing, it's kind of sobering actually.
Meanwhile, the girls file into the female lunchroom.
Ugh, the lunchroom. None of us girls ever want to go into that lunchroom again. You walk in and the smell of like a horrific toilet just whacks you across the face. Everything's really scummy.
You have to wash your face and wash your hands before you eat lunch.
So I was really hesitant to wash my face in that water just because it just didn't look that great. But I did it. I would love to go through that with a bottle of Jif or just light it on fire and start again. It's that bad.
When you sit down with them for lunch, they all offer each other's food. And so, of course, they were offering us their food and we could see the spice on it already. But because it's a sign of respect and love, we had to eat it, and I ate something. I was just like, oh gosh. I didn't want to spit it out, but it was so hot and spicy in my mouth.
After lunch, it's back to work, this time in the packaging department.
So ones with stickers on them, do not tuck it in. No. Just leave it.
Even though this is considered a good factory by Bangladeshi standards, the 5 can't help noticing safety issues which wouldn't be acceptable back home.
There's no sprinkler system and you're working with dry cotton, so if there's a fire, I don't know, I saw fire extinguishers around the place.
No one wears shoes here as well, and we're in a factory, which kind of weirds me out.
Once the 5 have packaged up the reels, they have to carry them to the truck. The girls realize they're going to have to carry more than their own body weight on their heads.
What if I could do this? That's nearly 10 kilos heavier than me.
By the time me and Anna got it on our head, we realised, oh gosh, this is actually really heavy. But once it was there, we were like, we've got to finish this. And by the time I get up the ladder, which was probably the hardest bit of it all, because by then you're on a lean, I lost my shoe and I sort of felt myself slump.
Oh my gosh, lifting that thing was just exhilarating. Did need a bit of help from Peter, but we made it through.
Hey! I can see why he's got the padding on the head.
I looked at my sleeves and I said to Steph, oh my God, like, cherish this. Because it's such a process to get cotton, from picking it to threading it to, you know, doing all the things that we've just done. God, I've taken cotton and little, you know, bits of thread for granted.
And then to think that the cotton still has to get to this.
Coming up, the next step in the cotton process, and Kieran's old-fashioned views are challenged.
I thought it would have been a woman's place to make the clothes.
Later in the trip, they will see how the cotton is used in the massive garment factories here in Bangladesh. But this afternoon, they're heading north to see the spun cotton being used in a more traditional way. The village of Patral is known for its weaving, and this company weaves cotton into high-quality saris.
The sari making, guys, was a funny one because I was surprised it was guys doing it, and they were very much like it was not a woman's place to make the sari, which I thought was really odd. I thought it would have been a woman's place to make the clothes.
It appears it's okay for the women to dye the cotton and get it ready for the loom.
Yay, now we've just made orange dye.
These traditional saris are known as Boishaki saris. They are sought after both in Bangladesh and internationally.
So you've probably got about 5 different routines within the one routine. Oh, it's really hard to explain, but it's quite difficult with all the different levers at my feet. These things going, this thing going, this thing, and this thing. So there's a lot to the stroke, there really is.
I had a go, and at first I looked at it and I thought, oh, I'm never going to get the hang of this. This is so hard. But after having a go at it and finding the rhythm and the routine, you get a hang of it, and then it's just the same old thing for 12 hours a day, 24 hours, I think maybe it was, to make one sari. And then once you're done that, you just do it again. It's like Groundhog Day. It's like a living hell on earth.
Locally, the saris are sold for around $25 US. In New York, they can fetch upwards of 500.
I'm nervous watching you do this, Peter.
I'm nervous doing it. Yeah?
Leg. Right leg.
When I sat down, you could just see it on his face that he was really, really worried that I was going to ruin his work for that day. I was worried I was going to ruin his work for that day.
Out of all the workers we've met who have been quite forthcoming and letting us do what they do, this guy is not happy because it's a difficult job and it's difficult work and there's a lot of money involved for them to be able to survive, and I think it's sort of only one thread to muck up and that's the whole thing.
Despite the high prices these saris go for, the weavers get paid just over $1.20 US for a 12-hour day.
How much is the sari?
Keen to see the final product, the five visit a local sari seller. Ever the shopper, Stephanie is excited by the prospect of being able to buy one.
Could we try some saris on, and can we try your most expensive ones?
Anna and Stephanie can't resist. They each buy a sari for 2,000 taka. That's the equivalent of 20 days' pay for a sari worker. It's time to say goodbye to the people in Petral. They're typical of most garment workers the five have met in this country. They work hard for very little money, yet they still manage to smile.
Our fashion is built from the hard-working hands of these women and men, and for the fact that they're not getting as much as they should be is really, really sad.
This experience has even impacted on Kieran, who up to now has been largely unaffected by what he's seen.
Bangladesh has been the worst that I've seen, and I think this spinning factory was the one that made me think a bit differently and think a bit more open-minded about it all.
But what about Anna and Stephanie, whose lives revolve around fashion?
Me and her, we love talking about like the latest collection or look at this photo or like, you know. And then being here in Bangladesh and just learning about the clothing industry, it's really taking a toll on our personalities.
Everyone's exploiting these beautiful people who welcome us with open arms and smiling faces, and we're just kicking them in the face with the amount that we're paying them.
With only a few days left on Reality Trip and one more final experience to go, their thoughts are turning to home and to what they've learned on their travels.
The journey's given me pause to kind of think about the things that I take for granted and the kind of work that has to go in just for these people to survive.
One of the biggest things I think I'll take home from this trip is family value and importance and how special that is. I will go back and go, God, I'm so lucky to have you guys, and I so love you to bits.
So many lessons learned, and it has definitely changed my thoughts on the way I'm going to live my life once I'm back in New Zealand.
I was thinking the other day, what do I regret about this trip? Or if I could do it again, what would I do differently? And I think I would go into it with less of an opinion and just learn a bit more from it.
It's Stevie that's made Kieran question the way he looks at life.
From Stevie, I think I've learnt a lot, more than I'll tell her I've learnt from her.
I wouldn't switch this journey for anything. There's only so much life back home can teach you. So to have been through this journey, I just feel rich with knowledge.
Next on Reality Trip, massive garment factories in Bangladesh.
I ask all the workers, are you happy?
You're shit at this.
Peter does better in a rickshaw pulling competition with Kieran.
Jesus. And he gave me a full 20 taka.
A dramatic meeting has an unexpected effect on Kieran.
For the first time on this trip, he showed emotion.
Their final stop, a tiger sanctuary, and they open up about the trip.
It's flipped my whole entire world upside down.